How's it going?
Yeah, man. Oh, pretty good, pretty good.
Dude.
Just getting ready for Christmas break. I'm so freaking ready.
Yeah, pretty good. You guys been busy?
Yeah, we just had our Black Friday sale, so it was a little wild there for a little bit, but chilling out now and ready to. I'm going down to my wife's my in-laws' house in Georgia, so I'm gonna drive down there for a while, and
Nice.
I'm excited for that. Get away
Good.
for a minute. Yeah. How
Yeah.
you been, man?
Good, dude. Just been grinding. I'm still in school, so just working on school and stuff. And we got finals week this week, so working on finals, and then, um, yeah, dang near hit the Christmas break. So pretty stoked for that too.
Yeah.
But
What's your major? Like, what are you going?
communications,
Communications. Okay.
yeah, just digital communication. So I do a lot of social media stuff, video, and then just kind of media in general.
Sweet. That's what you
Yeah.
want to pursue once you get out.
Yeah, my plan right now is to kind of just keep doing what I'm doing freelance and just work for brands who need help throughout the season. I've been talking to some people about just doing some more like kind of part-time stuff throughout the season, but we'll see how it goes. Because I also want to have my own channel and do my own hunts too, and film them and post them and grow my own page. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been I've been keeping tab. What happened to the beard, by the way, man? You had it ripping during the season.
I was doing good. Yeah,
Yeah.
shaved it, cut my hair, just for fun, kind of time for a change.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I
Nice.
like it. I'll probably grow a beard back again in the next year or two. I did
Yeah.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah. Especially when you're killing nice mule deer bucks with your bow, it just looks better.
dude, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it helps.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Well, cool, man. Yeah, that was a cool film. I enjoyed watching it.
yeah, yeah. I got a film coming out on Sunday, archery mule deer film. So that's exciting. I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
how was your season?
It was all right, man. It was all right. I was I went 0 for 2 on elk tags. That was kind of a bummer. I actually shot a bull with my bow. Nice 6x6. Just couldn't find it. I don't know what the heck happened. I mean, I shot him. It was like 33 yards, I think. Um, got a full pass through, saw him whirl around, saw my arrow sticking out, looked like it was a perfect spot. A little bit high, but he was like kind of quartering to me, so I thought it would, hit both lungs, but waited, 2 hours, went over, found my arrow, not good looking blood on it, very tissuey and sinewy, and found like 2 specks of blood. Tracked him for like 2 hours, and I was like 200 yards from where I shot him at, and ended up he was like I kind of crept around this corner, and he was actually walking back to where I shot him from. So,
Dang.
and he was fine. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
That was kind of a bummer, but went 2 for 2 on mule deer hunts, so that was good. Shot a pretty nice buck with my bow, which I was stoked on. So,
nice.
that's how it is. And then I went to New Mexico, and actually, hold on, let me get out for an hour, try to glass up the mountain. It was, you couldn't really see more than half a mile. And then once the rain kind of finally cleared, we were on elk every single time. It was just, we had season was 5 days, and we were basically socked in for 2.5, 3 days. So we only had 2 days to kind of try to get it done, and got close on the last day to a bull, but just didn't work out. So that was kind of a bummer, because it was like I drew two good tags this year, and no elk, and then the deer tags I had were not good tags, and that's how it works, I guess.
That's how it goes.
Yep. Yep.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, season was
Obviously,
good.
yeah.
I mean, I shot 2 deer and an elk, and then my wife shot a nice elk, her first one ever,
Nice.
so that was fun. She
Heck
drew
yeah.
an awesome rifle tag, so got her on that. And yeah, so I shot 1 deer with my bow in August, and then my elk I
Mhm.
shot with my bow in September. And pretty cool. It was fun because this was like the first year I killed any big game animal with my bow, and I just kind of like doubled up, so it was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah,
So one was in Idaho, and then what? The other Montana,
I shot one of my deer in Utah, and
Utah.
then
Okay.
a deer and elk in Idaho.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I
Good
haven't broken
stuff.
into Montana yet, but I want to.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah. Elk tags are pricey there. That's for sure.
I know, dude. That's the thing is any out of state tag is like so expensive.
I know. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's kind of like for me, and I'm sure it's probably similar with you. Like New Mexico, they're actually not too bad. Like
yeah,
800. I mean, it's still a good amount of money, but comparatively to Wyoming and stuff, it's pretty cheap. Um, but and it's a close drive, but it's tough to draw there. But then you can get some over the counter stuff in like Idaho and Montana, but they're more expensive and you got to drive farther. So it's
yeah,
kind of you got to pick your poison there.
yeah. You guys have it pretty good though in Colorado, don't you?
We do. Um, I'm hoping that the elk hunting is gonna. I mean, this unit that I drew this year, it took like 2-3 years to draw it, and it was. I had a good time. I mean, I hunted for 4 days and was in elk basically every single day. I mean, the first day we were up there, early September, it was kind of pre-rut. They were, I mean, there's probably saw 3 bulls, um, like 2 miles from the truck, which a lot of spots in Colorado you gotta get pretty deep in there,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean there's some spots over the counter it gets hit hard, but um, yeah, I mean we saw 2 super nice 6x6s first day. They were just not super ruddy, so it was tough to get on them. And I went home, went back, kind of more in the middle of the rut, and yeah, I was on probably 3 or 4 bulls. The 2 days that I was there, bugling bulls. So there's spots where it's good. Mule deer is awesome. Like I mean the bad units here, you can still kill nice mule deer.
Yeah,
Um, like I mean the I know a guy here, one of our customers, that he has a spot that's 0 preference points. He draws it every year for archery, and um, you know, he just pulls monsters out of there. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, it's we have more people that hunt here for elk season because it's the over the counter. It's not like Idaho where you have to put in for the over the counter, or like Montana where it's like you have to put in for that stuff. You can just come here if you decide on a whim September 1st you want to come elk hunt here. However, that's changing this next year. They're getting rid of the out of state over the counter just for archery. I'm pretty sure they still have the over the counter for the rifle.
mm,
Um, but I think that'll be a big benefit, because like that's the one thing that I don't think gets touched on. There's a lot of herds right now across the West that are kind of in a dip, right? And especially calf recruitment. That's down across the West. We have a few herds here that are not doing too hot, but I think I mean, the spot that I've hunted basically my whole life over the counter up until the last couple of years, um, up on the Grand Mesa here, not too far. It's like a big mountain range. Um, I mean, they in 2020 there was 1,500 bow hunters in this area, and it's not like, I mean, it's definitely a good sized unit, but it's not huge. And if
yeah,
you have all these animals that are getting chased around during what's supposed to be their breeding season, I mean, I can't imagine that that's a good thing for these elk numbers. I mean, they if they're just getting chased around all day, they don't have any time. Even at night, I mean, guys now are switching to just walking around at night and pressuring them at night and driving roads at night and listening for bugles. So it can't be
Mm-hmm.
good for herd numbers. So I think the change will be, give it 4 or 5 years, we'll start to see some better elk hunting, kind of go back to what it was, uh, when I was growing up. I hope.
Yeah, nice. That's good. That's one thing about Idaho that's they do is like they limit the number of non-resident tags, even though some of them are over the counter. Like they just went for sale yesterday and sold
Mhm.
out in like a matter of maybe an hour. I don't know exactly,
Yeah.
but then that way they're limited and
Mhm.
there's only a certain amount of tags per unit, which is good. And there's still a lot of people out, but it's better than if it was just totally open over the counter. So.
Yeah.
uh, I think it's a good thing for them to kind of be limiting those a little bit, even though some people might not like it as much, but I think it's good.
I think it is too, and I think it keeps away. The hardcore, the people that are dedicated are still going to find a way in.
Yes.
It's really kind of weeds out the people that are just shooting like the first, spike that or button buck that they see, and just taking crazy shots. So I think it's overall just very beneficial for the people that are super into it and want to kill, nice elk and deer every year.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So
Were you backpacking on your elk hunt?
yeah, we did. Yeah,
Nice.
it was nice though, because like I said, we were not too far. I mean, honestly, the second spot that I set up, I hiked in. It ended up being like zero point 0.6 miles from my truck. It was just I wanted to get up over this ridge so that I didn't have to go over it, because it was kind of steep. I just I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get over this ridge so that I don't have to hike that every morning and night. And
Right.
yeah, so it was nice. But usually
Nice.
the main spot that I've been going to, I typically hike in a couple miles to get into this little basin. So yeah.
Nice. That's cool. But you by yourself or you got other buddies with you?
Um, I had my main hunting buddy. His name's Riley. I was with him for the first part, and then for the second hunt, I was just all by myself because he
Nice.
had some family stuff going on, kids in school, so he couldn't join me. But that was the first time I was really solo on an elk hunt like that, which was
Oh,
it's
cool.
intimidating. Get
Yeah.
something down, man. It's work.
Dude, I know. Yeah, I shot my bull this year like 3 miles from the road,
Mm-hmm.
and I was by myself. It took me 4 trips to get that thing out of the road. So, but it was freaking sweet.
Yeah,
I'm pretty proud that I did it, but it sucked.
yeah.
But
It always feels better, like especially if you find the spot. If you find the
yeah,
spot, you like do it all yourself, man. I mean, that was my deer this year. It wasn't. I didn't have to hike in that far. It was like a mile, but
yeah,
um, same kind of thing. Like I don't know. It's cool, especially packing an elk out 3 miles by yourself. That's pretty badass to be able to tell people that.
yeah, yeah.
That's great.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
dude, let's kind of switch gears. Let's talk about Seek Outside. I know you mentioned when you reached out to me, there's some like new products that you gonna go over and kind of talk about. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting me come on here. Kind of wanted to jump on because we have had. I mean, this last year we've had a ton of new products come online, and kind of been switching gears with some things, specifically our backpacks. We've kind of revamped our whole pack line, which is one of the things that I'm really excited about. So yeah, I mean, for anybody that's not familiar, I mean, I would say Seek Outside's more known as a tent company. We make hot tents. That was our one of our main claims to fame, right? Getting the stove in the tent. I know Logan, you use them on
Yep,
all those bear hunts and throughout the season. So um,
yep,
that's what we're famous for. But we have been making packs for a long time, actually, probably 8-9 years now. We've been making backpacks, and kind of the thing that we do different is we try to incorporate a lot of the things from the ultralight world, a lot of fabrics, a lot of just concepts from the recreational ultralight backpacking world into, and we try to, take those things and apply them to a more rugged expedition style hunting backpack. And for a while, uh, I would say, like, we definitely started as hunting backpacks, but we were very popular amongst like through hikers. And I know that you did the PCT this last year, or a section of it, and that was those were kind of the first people that found some of our packs, because they were coming from running some of the ultralight backpacks that are very light. You're talking under 2 pounds, um, and they're basically just a sack, right? And most of them don't have a very robust both frame and suspension system, so they're kind of very basic there. But we had a lot of people coming over, and they were seeing our packs, and they were like, "Oh, might be a little bit more than 2 pounds." However, they have this frame that can carry 60 pounds easily, and for like a through hiker, that's big deal, right? If you have to do water hauls and stuff like that. And so they were kind of the first people that really found our packs, and we're talking about them online. But we've slowly evolved our presence in the hunting world, and we're one of our signature features on our packs is the materials that we use for the main pack bag are 100% waterproof. So there's a lot of packs out there that are highly water resistant. The fabrics are, one of the downsides is they can eventually soak through. Like, most of them have a coating on them, and so if you're walking around in the rain all day, um, you know get a bunch of water in there, and it'll eventually soak through. And for 80% of people's trips, that's not a big deal. It's just when you do, like, if you're walking around up in Alaska, Southeast Alaska, or the Pacific Northwest, or even out here, sometimes in September, you get those crazy wet snowstorms, and that's when you can start to see your gear getting wet. The materials that we use, and we have been for a while, the actual fabric is waterproof. So it's like you can take a pressure washer to that stuff, blast it, and it's not going to there's no water that's going to be getting through there. It doesn't rely on strictly just a coating for its water resistance. And we have so like our high end pack material is Ultra 200. It's a weave fabric. And then we also have our Ultra Grid, which is a little bit less waterproof, still very water resistant, but not quite as much as the Ultra, which is the kind of the material that I'm talking about. So, but yeah, we've this last year come out with we've basically updated all of our packs, made the hip belts a little bit easier to adjust, made it, kind of beefed them up a little bit, and changed some of the materials, changed some of the functions, and we think that it's a much better, kind of, they look a lot better as well. So that, and then we've also come out with a lot of accessories this last year. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing with the packs. Tent wise, we came out with the Twilight last year, last February, and that is a very unique shelter as well. That's kind of like a 2 to 3 person. The thing that's different about it is it's a 2 pole design instead of like a 1 pole design. Like, it's not your typical teepee. It's got 2 center poles. So if you can kind of picture it, it essentially turns into like a little mini wall tent. So it's very spacious for, it sits at, with both of the poles. It's like 4 pounds, 2 ounces, which is a little bit heavier than our 4-person teepee, but it's like the usable space is closer to like our 6-person teepee. So yeah, those are kind of the 2 big things that we've come out with in the last year that we're really excited about.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So on the website, I'm assuming all the packs with like 2.0, those are like updated versions of the back.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
nice. I was looking through everything before we hopped on. Um, And you have kind of some different options for packs. So we could go through a couple of them, but there's like your hunting pack, which has the removable frame, right? For like meat shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like your backpacking packs that don't have that. Um, that's something like to me that's huge is having a removable frame to have that meat storage. Because when you're back there miles and you've got your pack loaded with all of your gear, like there's no room for meat, so you have to like expand that and make room. Um, and you guys have that
Yeah,
on your hunting pack, so that's a big deal.
we do.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like our. Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. You can keep going.
Oh, oh, right on. Yeah, yeah. So that's like our Revo frame, and that's our hunting pack. Kind of the cool thing about that is, I think of it because we have so many accessories that you can run on that frame exactly. So like the way I try to explain it to people is like that's if you get that Revo frame, you're entering like that's your base building block. With all of our accessories that we have, you can customize and trick that thing out to be whatever you want it to be. I mean, we have like a new product that we just came out with this year, the Mesa top lid. So it's basically a hip pack, 450 cubic inches that you can you can hook up as your top lid, like if you have a pack bag on that frame. But you can also just hook that directly up to the frame, and you don't have to bring any pack bags, so you can kind of go as lightweight as possible. Or like in your situation that you were just explaining with the elk hunt, if you're on, you take your first load back and you want to go as minimalistic as possible. You don't want to have a bulky pack bag that you're hauling back up the mountain if you don't need it. You just put all the stuff that you need in that top lid. You rip that pack bag off, throw it on the frame, hike back up there, and you could run loads like that. So that Revolution frame I mean, it's super modular, and there's just so many different things you can do to it um, to to customize it for day trips all the way up to 7 to 10 day expedition trips. And then once you get that, literally you can buy any single one of our other backpacks, including the integrated bags, which don't have that breakaway frame function, and you already have all the pieces, so you just need to rip the frame out of that Revo panel, and you can put it in one of the integrated bags. So it really is, like, I think of it as kind of like one of the most modular pack frames out there, just in terms of your other options. And the other good thing, they're pretty popular amongst pack rafters, and the reason why is because that frame is removable. So like the actual aluminum piece you can pull out of the frame panel there, and you can store it in a pack raft. So it's designed for, and it's a little bit more, there's a little bit of a learning curve once you get it to kind of figure all that stuff out. Um, but there's just so many functions and so many uses for that frame. So it's great. Now I will say one other thing. One of the trends that we're seeing, especially amongst like ultralight guys in the hunting industry, is that they are starting to go with some of those more integrated frames. Um, just because if you're counting ounces, right, which a lot of guys are getting more and more into that nowadays, our integrated frames, the ones without the breakaway function, on average, they're about a pound less than the hunting pack. So you can have a bona fide hunting pack with the same exact frame that goes in our other hunting bags for like, I think the Uniweep 4800 is like 2 pounds 15-16 ounces, or 14-15 ounces, which is super light. And what a lot of guys are doing is because we have a way that you can hook up a load shelf on the inside of that bag. And what a lot of guys are doing now is just getting like a contractor bag, and they're putting their quarters or their boned out meat in that contractor bag and putting it on the inside of the bag. And it's just, I don't like that as much. Sounds like you're not a fan of that. I love having the breakaway function, but if you're counting ounces, we're starting to see a lot more people go that route.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I've seen some other companies make packs like similar to that where
Mm-hmm.
there is no breakaway frame, right? And for me, like I would actually be willing to try that, but it'd have to be a big enough pack that I could fit like me and my stuff into the pack at once, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where like the biggest issue for me is with all my gear and my stuff. But I'm usually running like a 5,000 cubic inch pack or close to that. So it's like I'm not going to fit me and gear in a 5,000 pack, but maybe something bigger um, could definitely make it work. But
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's all personal preference. That's the thing with backpacks, and
Yeah.
I always say this on like whatever podcast I go on. I mean, there's so many good pack brands out there, and they all have like their own little niche thing that they're really good at. And I mean, some people like how certain things feel way more than others. I mean, it's kind of tough. Like it's such a dependent thing, and all frames are a little bit different. Like ours is aluminum, so it just feels a little bit different on your back, and there's a different way that it, like aluminum and kind of the way our frame is designed, transfers weight from your shoulders to the hip belt a little bit different than the other ones. So it's really just about trying a bunch of different ones and seeing which ones you like. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's good. So you've been running, which one is it? That's the hunting pack.
So I run a Goshawk 4800.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I run it in the Ultra 200, the extremely waterproof fabric. And yeah, honestly, that's the pack that I first got when I started working here, and I just change it out every time we get a new material because I like that concept so much. You know, our packs are very simple, right? There's not a lot of zippered pockets. There's um, not a lot of bells and whistles on them, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? If you like knowing where all your stuff is, might not be the thing for you, or you got to just go with getting some organizational pouches and putting them in there. Um, but the good thing is you can really compress like a 4,800 cubic inch bag down to day pack size if you really want to. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good one. But I mean, sometimes I'll take the flight out, not for hunting trips, but which our flight is kind of like our ultralight. It's truly designed for like backpacking, because it frames only rated to like 60 pounds,
Mhm.
and it carries 60 pounds very well for that style of backpack. But it's definitely more of a backpacking pack. So but I'll take that one out just on day trips and stuff. Obviously, I kind of have the luxury of having a few of them down here at the shop that I can take out. Um, but yeah, if I had to pick one, it would be it would be that Goshawk 4800. I've just never found a need for anything else.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
Um, that's awesome, dude. I'm looking at the frame on these packs too. Are you involved much in like the designing of of products at Seek Outside?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we kind of like that design has been our pack frame design for a long time.
Okay.
Um, we there's a lot of we're still a pretty small shop, just in
Yeah.
terms of like the marketing team and sales team and all that. So that's one of the things I love about here is it's a very collaborative thing designing these packs. Um, so I mean, I definitely help out and try to lend my words, and I take them out just as much as anybody else here, especially hunting. I'm probably the biggest hunting fanatic here, but definitely not nearly as versed in the backpacking world.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. I like the simplicity of packs, and just because like the way that I normally use my packs is like I'm just stuffing everything in through the top. I'm not really using a bunch of pockets to organize stuff. I organize things like in a certain way when I pack it, and so
Mm-hmm.
having just like the simplicity is kind of like right up my alley for what I like to do. And some
Mm-hmm.
guys are different, but I feel like a lot of guys, especially the more you do it, the more you kind of lean towards that style of backpack, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
because
I don't know, maybe.
we've all been there like after 3-4 days of just especially if you're at high altitude and your brain just disappears after waking up early and hiking a bunch. So it's like you don't want to have to be looking through all these different pockets, being like, "Where did I put that?" That's always complicated. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you. I like the simple,
yeah.
but
Um, I'd love to hear this because I kind of have recently I'm really interested in like product and designing and testing stuff out.
mm-hmm.
When you guys develop a new product, whether it's a tent or a backpack or whatever, what does that like testing process look like?
Well, it's very dependent on the actual product, right? I mean, so we have certain things that are like, for example, the Twilight, right? So when we released the Twilight, we had been working on a similar shelter for probably 4 or 5 years before we got to that final iteration. Now it had different titles and it had like some different ideas and there were just some things that were different about it fundamentally with the product, but the the things that you really need to test, like some of the things that you really what we th- all right, let me back up. So for when we're testing tents, there's like three things that we really want to look at, right? And we kind of call it like the Alaska test, right? Or the fly-in test. Is this tent going to be something that we can legitimately tell our customers that you can have confidence, like in taking this on a 7-day fly-in hunt where in backcountry of Alaska, where if something goes wrong, you'll either have a solution, like for example on our teepees, right? Big thing that happens with any zippers, especially in if you're doing a float trip in Alaska, zippers do break down. It's just a part of them. It will happen 100% of the time. With our teepees, that's the reason why we don't make single door teepees, is because we make single door like smaller shelters, but on the big teepees, it's got to have two doors on it, because if one of those zippers fails, at least you have the other side. You can duct tape the one side together, or just not use it. So it's got to pass that test. Like, are we confident in sending this out to our guides and people that trust us up in Alaska? Um, Something like that Twilight, um, we had been testing iterations of it for a long time. So, and we eventually ended up kind of going back to like the first. So, like, we made the initial prototype, we make a bunch of changes. We eventually got to like step 11, prototype 11, and we were like, you know what? We've overcomplicated this. Let's bring it back to like step one. So, we had the actual final Twilight, we tested it 6 months, right? Took it out on a few trips, but we had 4 years of the same kind of concepts being tested. So we knew, we were like, all right, this is gonna work. And then from there, it's just like a few little tweaks that you have to test out. Like, for example, like on our zipperless doors, like on your Guardian, um, with that Twilight, it's a little bit taller, so we had to test out, just make sure that the angle was correct, make sure that that door could cinch down tightly, and wasn't going to be flapping around in the wind. Um, I would say for like new backpacks and stuff, we try to have at least one season under them. But if we're trying something that's out of the box from what we've done, we try to have probably 5 or 6 different people, like outside of Seek Outside, testing them out before on top of like us all testing them out in the office, we have probably 6 or 7 of us that take the stuff out regularly. But there's always something like within the company, especially collaboratively, if we're designing products, everybody, you have a way that that a specific function can work, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to the consumer or somebody that hasn't been involved in the design process. So we try to have 4 or 5, 6 people outside of Seek Outside testing our stuff out, and a lot of times uh, they are people up in Alaska. I mean, our we have a few biologists on Kodiak. His name's Philip. He's a big tester of ours. He's been a customer of ours since basically the beginning, and so we send him stuff to test out regularly, and he's very critical of it, which is something that you need. Um, but yeah, I would say in general, like the process is we don't send anything out to be like truly tested until we have taken it out as a team and we're pretty confident in the abilities. Um, actually, a funny story. One time that we didn't do that, we were testing out some new things with a pack, and it was actually last year in Alaska, and we did a fly-in hunt with guy's name is Joel Webster. He works at Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership, and he's a big friend of ours. And we decided that we were going to test out these new packs on this caribou trip. And it's a fly-in hunt, so you only have one backpack, right? We stupidly it was very early on in this prototyping, and we were like, all right, we're just gonna test these out and give it a shot, not thinking that we were on a fly-in hunt with no backup backpacks, no no way to just fix them out there. It's not like we could bring a freaking sewing machine out there. And so we get in, first caribou goes down, loaded up with 100 pounds, 2 quarters of caribou meat, and the frame pops through the bottom. It basically renders the pack useless. And this was on Joel's pack. It wasn't like one of our packs. It wasn't one of the Seek Outside guys. It was on his pack. So that was like something that we definitely learned from. It's like, you gotta, if you're trying something new completely out of the box, you got to make sure that it's at least somewhat close to the final before you take it to give to people outside of the organization to test, because you don't want that. You don't want them to. I mean, they're all of the people that test our stuff. They trust it. They're big fans of ours, and they help design and give feedback and all that stuff. But it still, you don't want them to have that super negative experience, especially on a fly-in hunt like that, where if something like that happens, you're kind of SOL. Luckily, I mean, that was his bowl, so he didn't have to pack anything else out. So we were able to get everything out, and it's not like we were backpacking into a spot. We were kind of camped on the runway where the plane drops you off, and but
Nice.
that's definitely something that we try to avoid. But yeah, I mean, it varies for every product. I mean, um, and a big thing, like we definitely make inline changes as well. I mean, there's always a possibility that something small gets, like say like a little guy out or something is sewn in wrong, and we just didn't have the right scenario to be able to see where that fails, right? I mean, we didn't have a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust coming directly at that side of the tent, so we weren't able to see that was a failure point. And then we get a few customers that email in saying, hey, this was an issue. Well, we immediately address it and fix it inline. So there's always kind of like an evolution to these products. But yeah, it's usually it can last anywhere from a year to 4 years to, if we're just updating a product like the new pack fabrics. I mean, we'd been testing those fabrics for a while, but we didn't need much time to know that, hey, this is going to work. So let's put it in there. So yeah, it's fun though. It's fun kind of being able to test these items till failure, because that's really what you want to do. You want to make sure that you know exactly under what conditions, whether it's a pack or a tent or an accessory, that thing is going to fail. So you can at least try to solve that equation, you know, in a timely manner to get it out to the public. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm like always with any gear, it's always like, man, when is this gonna like break or something? Because I've had this thing for like 2 years or something, and like most of the stuff I use like goes pretty good, and I haven't really had a ton of things go wrong on me. But yeah, there's always like that chance. But it comes back to like you guys test stuff out and make sure that it's gonna work in those situations, whether it's high wind situations, cold, snow, whatever it is. All that stuff's gonna hold up. Um, and that's
Yeah.
important to a lot of people. So
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that, like some of the failure stuff can just be coincidence, right? So you can't just take one instance of something failing and being like, oh, that's something that we need to change immediately. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of like, I don't know, like not having the right angle on like our carbon pole setup. Like, you know, if you have that thing slightly off canter, it's obviously going to be in a weaker position, and then you know you add like if the stove is too close to that carbon fiber, then it kind of weakens the carbon fiber, and then all these compounding issues caused it to fail. Well, it's not like that's something that you have to take with a grain of salt, right? Because sometimes there's certain things that happen that are not going to happen that way again. You know, it's just kind of a coincidence, right? Um, but I mean, things. I mean, here's the thing. Like, basically, especially with ultralight gear, there's always some sort of sacrifice, and we shoot to eliminate or try to like minimize those sacrifices, right? But there just always is. I mean, you look at Dyneema, right? Dyneema composite fabric is known as like that's like the caviar of fabrics that everybody it's twice to three times as expensive as all other tent fabrics, and it's stronger than steel for its weight. But the downside is like you kind of have to baby it a little bit, right? The thing with Dyneema is if you crumple it up a bunch and unfold it and just store that in a Dyneema tent in the stuff sack without rolling it up and without folding it up, over time, those wrinkles can kind of loosen up the fibers there. So that's the most expensive, most sought after tent fabric out there. And it still has sacrifices. I mean, it's like, and then you look at like canvas, right? Obviously, that's it's got great insulative properties. You know, burn holes, you don't have to really worry about them because they won't spread. They're all coated, but it's super heavy. So, unfortunately, with a lot of stuff, there's just you got to pick and choose what you value with a piece of gear, and that's just what it is. It's part of being in the backcountry and
yep,
testing stuff. Yep.
yep,
So
awesome, man. You guys will be at the Hunt Expo in February, right?
unfortunately, this year we're not going to the Hunt Expo. We committed to Portland, the Portland Sportsman's Expo, uh,
Nice,
bef- in which it's conflicting dates. But we're going to be at Sheep Show. We're going to be at Portland. We're going to be at one up in Vancouver, Washington. We're going to be at the one in Denver, the new Mile High Hunt Expo. So we got a bunch, but unfortunately, just dates wise, it wasn't going to work out with Western Hunt.
yeah, nice.
But
No,
yeah,
that's okay. That means you still guys got a bunch you guys are going to. So if people want to like get hands on with your stuff, that's the probably the best place to do it, unless they come into your guys' shop. Do you guys have a storefront there in
we
Grand
do.
Junction?
Yep, here in Grand Junction. If you're ever passing through, gotta. I mean, our most popular walking, like when we get a bunch of people walking in the shop, is hunting season. So every year during hunting season, stop by if you need to, or stop by afterwards and show us what you got. We always love seeing that. So seeing
Nice.
antlers, seeing racks.
Right, the racks, dude.
Yeah.
Good. Well, if
But
you
yeah,
don't, do you have
just
anything else?
well, I was just gonna say, anybody, if I will say, at all these trade shows, we almost always have a sneak peek of new products, and this year we're gonna have some cool stuff. That's all I can say. So if you can, I mean, I was just looking the Portland Sportsman Show. It's like $20 for an admission, which is not bad. I mean, some of those shows are pretty expensive, but there's going to be all sorts of good brands there, and it's a good way to kind of like the cool thing about going to those shows is you always see the most innovative companies. That's typically where they start is by, you'll see a tiny little booth that's like a dude that's making some crazy contraption out of his garage, but it's like perfect for ultralight backpack hunting. And it's a great spot to check gear out. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I love the expos. I only kind of make it to the Salt Lake Expo every year because it's close to me, but
Yeah,
they're fun. They're worth going to for sure. So
definitely.
cool, man. Well, we can chat for a sec after we end this, but thanks for hopping on, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.